Hello dear students, welcome in this online sessions of the 10th standard part 2, and today we are gonna take the lesson in the continuity which we started in the previous lecture. As I made you understand, my dear student, in my previous lecture that the literature, heritage and the concept of Indian literature theories are related with the sanskaras, bhaktis and also related with the basic detailed knowledge about the Rama and Mahabharata and other Katha, Sarita, sagas like literature here. So as I made you understand in my previous lecture, and we were on the topic last which we attended about the medieval literature, where I made you to understand about some of the work done from the northern Indian style of the art in the literature and the form 2 here. As I made you understand about the Somdevas, Katha Sarita Sagar and another thing also which I made you to understand on the page number 32, that I hope you have cleared your concept here. So now if you go more further in that same literature, then I would say that development of the Indian languages as well as the literature is one of the conceptual belief which is nowadays also taken carrying forward here, and along with that we can say that this kinds of literature and the heritage and the conceptual theory is today also one of the basic we can say guidebook of our cultural heritage, natural heritage and our general behavior belief too here. So let's check it out in this lesson here, and I'm reading as you can also focus in your textbook here. So the poet and the composers develop this kinds of language here. So as I said you, basically the development of the Indian languages and the compositions was also one of the basic theory with the relation of the general we can say terms and theories also, and therefore we can say that some of the Delhi sultanates and some of the kings and queens were also in love in this kinds of work and the theories too here. But I can tell you, my dear student, that the sultanate of the Delhi and other two forms of the Delhi languages were also somehow related with the Khadi Boli languages and also with the Brij Bhasa, which also begin to the basic use of the written literature also. Now if there is a question, my dear student, which was the court of language of Delhi, then you will have to easily write down that Hindi, neither English was the court of language. Actually the court of language of Delhi was the Persian language, but the literatures were leaded with the Brij Bhasa or the Khadi Boli also here. Many heroic performances are also given there. As I said you, heroic performance means what? Some of the deeds, some of the work related to some of the people who were actually contributed towards the nation and the nation wide too here. So along with that we can say that some of the many heroic performance and the poems are also written inside this kinds of things also, which can be referred inside the poetic compositions or either inside the proper literature too here. So I would give and I'll read also some of the names related to that, as I made you to understand about the Chandrayaan, which is written by Mullah Dawood and all in this medieval of the literature too here. Now Persian language, as I said you, was the court of Delhi Sultanate language. Apart from that we can say consequently this also went more in the words of the Persian literature can be seen in the Indian languages now also, and therefore we can say that, my dear student, many historians emerged during these kinds of era, and we get much of inspired and also we can say proper description of the Indian and Indian history through the Turkish literature was also written there inside the Persian language here. Therefore we can say that some of the people also wrote, like Zainul Abidin we can say or Ziauddin also wrote, Ziauddin Barani wrote about Tuzuk-e-Hind, then Tariq-e-Firoz and many more other kinds of literature also were given the detailed account of the region of the Khiljis too here, the ruling capacity and the power of the Khiljis also here, and the Tughlaq kings too here, who actually came in India to sell India. As you know that basically the history can't be hidden, and therefore we can say he also wrote about the basic theories and the performance related to the Firoz Shah and like Fatwa-e-Jahangir and all these all kinds of theories can be seen in this side this literature too here. But the most outstanding literature among them, if you talk about the most outstanding figures of the literature in the period, among them was only contributed from the Amir Khusro Sahab, as I made you understand, and he was also one of the we can say like person related with the disciple of the Nizamuddin Aulia. So these are the general theory where I am making you understand about the concept, theory, basic, belief and many more kinds of things also, where we can say as an important part of an art, as an art and the architecture, Mughal emperor were also actually introducing their factors and the development in the literature too here. So first Mughal ruler was somehow one of the pioneer related to the Turkish and the Turkish poetry too here, who also became the author laterly. Therefore we can say valuable autobiography can be also seen related to that, like Tuzuk-e-Babar. Then if you go more further, it can be seen in the Turkish language laterally we can say, which was also laterly translated into the Persian and entitled into the, we can say, like Babar Nama also, then Gulab Begum and all other kinds of literatures, and their we can say correlating sisters and their families, Emperor of Humayun and all, means all of the family literature can be seen inside this kinds of Babar Namas and related literature to here. And therefore we can say that Humayun also wrote one of the literature, like Humayun wrote about Humayun Nama, Jahangir wrote about Jahangir Nama, autobiography of the Tuzuk-e-Hind written by Jahangir and all. Aurangzeb was also there, as you know that about the Aurangzeb's name. One of the pluralic, we can say one of the very pro writer. He was like a pluralic writer also, who gave like a pro performance to here inside this kinds of literature also, and prolific performance related to the concept of his own knowledge, where we can say that he also written about the Mughal emperor and other kinds of things also. And as you know the name of last Mughal emperor, that was Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was also one of the person who was related to the notable Urdu and Arabic literature too here. So my dear student, we can easily get the effect and the knowledge about the basic belief of the medieval literature, where this kinds of people were ruling the kingdoms and all, and they were interested to write the literature, poetry and other kinds of theories also related to romance, allegories and other performance too here, where we can say Hindi literature was also not backward at that time. The significant theory about the Hindi literature also came out. It means that, my dear students, I can tell you that Hindi literature also made a significant role progressing during the Akbar's time. So in the Akbar reign, Hindi literature also flourished well. Now we can say Akbar Nama, then Ain-e Akbari was also one of the detailed information related towards this kinds of things of the literature of, we can say, Mughal emperor to here. The great poet Keshav Das, the great poet like Keshav Das also wrote about the love and separation to here. Then we can say Rahim's Dohas are still there all over the India. Kabir's Doha are there. Like most of the Dohas are actually relating in the verses form, but if you read them, you'll get the detailed knowledge related with the Dohas and the other, we can say that related with the lines of the Dohas also here. So every life and life history, belief and their concept and theories are relating with this kinds of examples, especially in the literature. See my dear student, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, whether it is Atharva Ved, whether it is Panch Tantra, whether it is Persian language, and whether it is, we can say, historical work done by unparalleled performance by Abul Faisal, or we can say like Faisal brothers like Fazis and all. This all the conceptual belief is actually detailed one of the form from the Sanskrit to the Persian, from the Persian to the Sanskrit also, so that knowledge could be actually understood by all the kind of people. And here I would like to suggest to you, my dear, one of the information that whenever you are actually trying to see the knowledge from the view of religion, then you will be mistaken also. Knowledge is not having any kind of religion, my dear student, and therefore we can say if you need to get any kind of knowledge related to other religion also, you can get it. To follow that religion or not follow is in your hand, but to get the knowledge will be not making your own, will be not making your own culture polluted enough, so that you need to understand by the open mind. Now as I am giving you the basic knowledge related to the concept and theories also, if you focus on the page number 34, then I can say that the building which is nowadays seen in the ruin form, that is not a building list, it is one of the hub of the great and great grammarian, mathematic principles. Then also we can say Aryabhatta, then we can say like Kautilya Shastra and all. So this is none other than Nalanda Vishwa Vidyalaya. In English we can call it out like Nalanda University too here. So let's check it out, the information. Now I hope and I wish that you will get the proper knowledge related to the Nalanda also. Now my dear students, see here, Nalanda University was situated. Actually why it is was, because nowadays the university is there actually, but in the ruin form. It is not like a university nowadays, just the heap of universities there. So we'll use the was form here. Nalanda University was situated at the Badgaon village of the Patna district in Bihar. Now the Nalanda gave more and more important and traditional culture related to the Buddhist language, Jain tradition, and also this of the university is also one of the pilgrimage places of the Jainas and Mahavir Swami temples, or we can say Swami related belief also. where we can say they have also performed the 14 Chaturmas here. It means that they actually came here, they actually recited their prayers and all, and they tried to get the salvation, that is the moksha, by the prapti of yagnas and by the prapti of their own theory of the penance also, that is the tapasya. Now, this Nalanda University, we can say that one of the best university today. We can say that there were thousands of the priceless treasures and manuscripts inside this, and this was one of the past place of the Indian culture and the world of treaty, we can say theories also. And somehow we can say people from in the ancient time, people from apart from the world, they used to come here to get the knowledge. And not only this, we can say that the great traveler Yunzeng also came here. Yunzeng came here, and he also somehow got the information related to the life and death and the other theories too here. Along with that, we can say today the ruins of the building can be also only seen in the name of great university, but admitting the ruins, one can visualize, you can just think out, okay, what can be at the time the theory of this knowledge hub, kitna bada raha hoga ye, that you can identify if you will go there. Now, a student who has actually passed from the Nalanda should be known, or he is actually known as the ideal student of the world. That is the basic thing here related from the India here. And during the 5th and the 11th century, we can say that many students from India and abroad, they came here, they got the knowledge also, and they studied and they researched also. There was a library too here, and there was a maximum kinds of detailed theory which is actually decoded, we can say, inside the Nalanda University, and the basic example of the universities too here. Many students from the Indian abroad, as I said you, came here. Now, in the research, we can say the library of Takshashila as well as the Nalanda University was one of the biggest library. Now, if you talk about the books, then Yunzeng, around 675 book he took from here to China. Now, when he took from here to China, the books are not written yet now. That's how we can say that we are still struggling for this kinds of basic treasures of the India. Now, Yunzeng visited when? That is a question. He actually came here in the 7th of the century, and there was, we can say, 7 huge halls at the time. There were rooms, and sections of the rooms were divided, and there were almost 300 rooms for the delivering of the lectures to here. Can you imagine, my dear student, 300 rooms to deliver the lecture? Maximum kinds of subjects were studied out here in the special university which was known as the Nalanda University of Bihar. Along with that, we can say food, clothes, dwelling, shelter were provided free of cost. They were not taking any kind of cost also. Now, from where this kinds of maintenance was coming? Actually, it was coming from the donations of the village people. Not only the village people, many of the villages were donated to get the compound of Nalanda University, my dear student. Can you imagine? To expand this university, villages were donated for the people. That's a very good thing. So therefore, we can say it's one of the basic thing where we can say the library which was known in the ancient time as a Dharma Gunj during the 5th century to the 11th century BC, before Christ. And therefore, we can say Nalanda was one of the reputed, one of the most highly knowledgeable building and the university at that time as the purpose of educational hub in India. These are the examples of the India, my dear student. You should take pride being an Indian. These kinds of examples are there. Now, this is not only the theory where we need to stop out here. We need to go more further in this literature where I'll make you understand about the Takshashila too here. Now, ancient university of Takshashila, as we know, that is located nowadays inside the Rawalpindi, Pakistan presently. Now, Takshashila, Shila means the stone, Taksh means a special stone. Therefore, we can say that the name was given. But if you go into more detail, then I will tell you that Taksh was the name of the son of Bharat, and where the name of this university was also given there. Now, the question is that who was Bharat? Bharat was the brother of King Rama, that you need to understand here. Now, as we know that basically an ancient university which was known as Takshashila is also described, and it was the capital city of the ancient Gandhar region. Therefore, the impartment of the education was divided into 64 subjects. 64 subjects. Just imagine, most of the students studying here to practice with their own knowledge with the guru also. They were known as the jivaks. They were living with the guru, they were doing all the household work with the guru, and they were going at the school also with the gurus only. Yani they were actually mesmerized inside the guru bhakti. inside the Guru's knowledge only. And therefore we can say Lord Buddha also learned the lessons of the Ayurveda here. Can you imagine Lord Buddha, he himself, who is actually the preacher of the world, known as, he also got the knowledge here. And therefore we can say that okay, actually it was named on the son of Bharat, brother of Lord Rama, born in the Raghukul here. And therefore it was one of the renowned in spite of the theory. And the century, the 7th century, it was world famous at that time also. Students from the world to come here, they came here and they were free to get any subject to study to here. Therefore we can say that in spite of allotted 40 students, they only allotted 20 students per the teacher here, means per teacher. One teacher will teach only 20 students. It is not like the class is filled with the 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 people and one teacher is struggling with the students where all the students are making noise. The studyable student, the knowledgeable student who needs to study, they'll be get disturbed, teacher will also get disturbed. So you can imagine in the ancient time also there were some kinds of rules and regulations where 20 students were only allowed to study in this kinds of huge buildings per a teacher. Along with that we can say that a student from the distance like Varanasi, one of the ritual city, we can say, then Rajgraha also, then Maithilia, one of the part of Bihar, and therefore we can say MP Madhya Pradesh also, then Ujjain also crowded in the university. Crowded means what? They came actually inside the university, and therefore we can say that okay, the prince of Varanasi also, the princes of Varanasi too here came. Prasenjit also came here, and the king of Koshal dynasty, or we can say the king of Koshal also came here, studied here. Then lots of politicians also generated themselves as a huge mentality people from here only. I would like to tell you some of the names. If you understand this theory, then you can also remember that kind of people who are actually taken one of the great fame in the world here. Therefore I can say that the Takshashila was one of the central place at the time of the expertise of the knowledge, politics and the other mathematics too here. So normally we can say students who stay here to practice with the guru were known as the Jivaks, and education of the Vedas, military, then education of Gajvidya, science and theories also, then education with the grammar, philosophy, education with the Valor theory, and education with the general basic topics are also actually given there, including astronomy, astrology and other Ashtanga theory too here. Now we can say that okay, if you talk about Chanakya, then Chanakya, the mentor of Chandragupta and the Maurya, also studied here too. So that is one of the best example of that. Then Chinese scholar Fa Hien also visited this university in the 5th century. Now I don't know, my dear student, why these Chinese are coming in India. In the ancient time also they were actually coming in India. Now also you can say that Chinese and Chinese, no China, boycott Chinese. So they are also coming inside the India, and see, they are getting the knowledge from the India. I hope from you all students, none of you are Chinese. Okay, moving further, my dear student. Now if we talk about the Varanasi and Kashi, as we know that basically Varanasi and Kashi, one of the ancient time and the ancient, we can say, related theories of the world, where we can say Varanasi is world famous for the Ganga and for the moksha and salvation also, Kashi and all, and for the music bhaktis too here, for the knowledge and prance and the finance also, from the all the kinds of belief. We can say Varanasi is one of the best place here, and Varanasi was one of the famous places of the pilgrimage during the 7th century. So it was also one of the world famous at the time of the education center. Now also it is famous, my dear student, but apart from that we can say it grew on the religious concept maximum. The center of the Varanasi lies still inside the religious form only. It means that the heart of India with the religious belief is throbbing from the Varanasi. And that is only I need to explain it out here. So the center of the Aryan culture, can you see? You can see that here, the king of Varanasi, then Ajatasattu, and also they are related with the educational belief here. And it is mentioned in the, we can say, Vyas Samhita also, that Maharishi Ved Vyas had also his ashram inside the Varanasi. Valmiki and Ved Vyas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Remember, my dear student, get the knowledge, boost up your knowledge. And therefore we can say Lord Buddha also chose Varanasi as a suitable place to stay here, and along with that we can say Vallabhacharya also came here. For the majority of the scholars can be seen of the Punjab, from the migrated from Kashi to the Varanasi also. We can say that they can also stabled here themselves, and many prince and educative people also came here. Monasteries, then staying places, then we can say Sarnath also they made to become famous education center, exceptly we can say accepting the theory of Varanasi under the propaganda or the patronage, we can say, of the Emperor Ashoka too here. So we can say Varanasi also influenced. Why? Because Ashoka was ruling at that time in our India, and before the Kalinga war, Ashoka was actually aggressive. But after the Kalinga war, as you know that Ashoka, the Samrat Ashoka, went on the path of Dhamma. Dhamma means Dharma, on the path of Lord Buddha. No fight, no war, no blood rain, and therefore we can say he also supported this kinds of universities. Let's come back, we can say, to the Gujarat here, my dear student, as I made you to get a trip of the whole of the world here. Now Vallabhi, let's talk about the Vallabhi University. See, my dear student, this university of the Gujarat was very famous. Now also it is actually famous here from the 7th century, and was one of the significant role and the contributed we can say contemporary development related to the education also, and the Vidya Dham with the Vidyapeeth too here. Along with that, we can say that it was started from the Vansh dynasty. Remember the name, my dear student, here. So Vansh dynasty at the center of Himalaya, we can say that Hinayana cuts also of the leading principles related to the Vallabhi here. Now Buddhist religion also flourished here in the middle of 7th century, as we get the information, my dear student. And also we can say Buddhist scholars like Srimati and Gunmati were also one of the people, we can say, who are persons were relating with this kinds of Vallabhi universities and all, or we can say school of art. And therefore we can say Chinese traveler also, they came here to get the knowledge. Again the Chinese traveler are coming there. Now what can I do here? So we can say that Chinese traveler is also one of the, we can say, one of the signing note they gave here. They also came here, completed their famous education here, centered at Nalanda, and also we can say that they are located in the eastern part of the India also, and same as in the Gujarat, we can say Vallabhi was also located there, where this Chinese rulers came here to get the knowledge here. Now Vallabhi, if we talk about, Vallabhi was one of the capital, we can say one of the capital international trading center too here, as the port from 1480 to 1775. So the ruler of Vallabhi belonged from the Maitrak dynasty, and they were not actually Buddhist, but however they are helping the institution to get famous scholars, to get the famous scholars and to get the proper fame to come out of the Vallabhi, we can say, like universities too here, or the Vallabhi Institute of the Gujarat too here. And along with that, in the year 1775 AD, let's talk about the year 1775 AD, when Arabian attacked, we can say, Maitrak dynasty, they were actually defeated, and the university was closed down, shut down, and the fame of the scholar, we can say, the famous scholars were actually writing these kinds of things related the name over the gates also. The famous scholars were also written over the gate of this university. Yani ki, who are the famous scholars who got the knowledge from the Vallabhi can be seen nowadays also inscribed their name on the gates, so that the history could not forget their name. Scholars, by showing their endurance also, who gave their knowledge also, were getting the higher rights inside the Rajya Sabha too here, can be seen. So my dear students, see, this lecture is relating with the general concept and the literature theory of this University of Nalanda, Takshashila, then Vallabhi and other also, and relation with the Vedas too here. So therefore we can say knowledge, worship, practice and systematic theory, all the things are part of education. And also we can say that Samay means time is also relating theory and basic theme of this education here, where we can say students from all the India used to come here and to get the knowledge in the university too here. So it was, my dear student, it was an international university of the Gujarat too here in the real sense. I'm talking about the Vallabhi. Almost all the branches known and taught here, as you can say that more than 64 subjects can be referred out here. So the maintenance of the university was done by the charity, as same as like Takshashila and the Nalanda University. And apart from that, we can say that landlords also gave their lands and property and wealth also time to time to make this university accomplished here. So actually it is showing the loyalty of the people towards the university. Nowadays donations are not given, charity is also stolen sometime if they are given. Therefore we can say that today's world is different, my dear. Ancient world was different. At that time people were donating the villages. Today people are fighting for the land. The situation out of control. So actually it shows the loyalty also, and it was actually the world renowned theory where we can say that University of India and education, yani ki Vidyapeeth, are actually not related with the education, but they are related with the educative fact of the art, source, science and technique too here. I hope you learned from this lecture, my dear student. I hope you got the detailed examples of this lecture also, and I hope you will revise your chapter also along with my video lecture. Till then, you can take care. We'll meet you in the next upcoming fresh new lecture, and keep revising. Jai Hind.